and I'll be the chair for this evening. This meeting is about the HDV, and this is the panel that we have that are going to inform you of what you can do for your community to stop this thing. First, I'd like to say we are filming and taking pictures. Anyone who has a problem should just discreetly go to the side, to the back, so they're not included. Second, I would like to thank Daimar and in particular Optai, who for health reasons is not speaking this evening. So, on we go. The first speaker we have is Jacob Seeker from the Broadwater Farm Residents Association.
Thank you. I'm going to give a quick informational about what is the HDV in relation to housing. The Haringey Development Vehicle is basically a privatisation vehicle. It's about privatising land and putting it in the private sector for it to develop. So what will happen is that council land will be given to the HDV, the Haringey Development Vehicle, and then it will be controlled by a company which is allegedly going to be 50-50 controlled, part by council, part by Lend-Lease, a private developer. It's a privatisation vehicle with a thin layer of council control in effect. The argument for putting all this council land in the HDV is that they will be able to build loads of housing on it. That's the whole point of this, really. There may be other strands, but the main point is they want to increase the amount of housing in Haringey, and they think this is the way to do it. So some of that council land is commercial land, because the council does own land which businesses are on at the moment. A lot of it are just council estates, because that's one of the principal things the council owns in Haringey, is council estates. So what they're going to do is they're going to give council estates to this privatisation vehicle, knock them down, and then build new housing on the sites of our estates, like the Broadwater Farm and Northumberland Park and other areas. That's the whole point of it. It's a demolition vehicle. Knock down the public property, build up the private housing. The council's argument is that we will build loads of affordable housing on the sites of the demolished council estates, the demolished businesses and so on. That's rubbish, and in the brief amount of time I've got, I want to bear down on that point, because that's the key point, is their promises of affordable housing are rubbish. There will be some affordable housing, but it will be less than what we've got at the moment. Key point, which I want everyone to take away tonight: the affordable housing they're going to build will be less than the amount they demolish, a lot less. How do we know this? Because of all the other experiences, of all the other times this has happened in London over the past few years. Exactly the same kind of model. Whatever they say, this isn't different, it's exactly what they've done in other places. If we just look at what they're proposing for Northumberland Park, if we look at the Haringey Development Vehicle business case, they state that, if we look what they're planning for Haringey, that Northumberland Park and Broadwater Farm are two key estates they want to demolish. There are other sites as well. Broadwater Farm they haven't yet decided, but as we'll see, that it's pretty certain that they are hoping at least to demolish Broadwater Farm. The Northumberland Park, if you look at the actual affordable housing figures, if you look at this document, the Northumberland Park Strategic Master Plan, which is on the web, this really shows what this affordable housing promises mean. Even with minimal intervention, only 183 out of 1,092 council tenanted properties in Northumberland Park will be retained. The rest, 909, will be demolished. They'll be gone. And then when they say, OK, we'll build this affordable housing in Northumberland Park to replace all this, they're talking about 25%. 25% of what they build in Northumberland Park will be affordable. So you might think, oh, that's new council flats. Of course not. Of course it isn't. But you're not going to get 25% council flats or even housing association flats. It's going to, of that, only 40% will be affordable rented. 40% of 25% will be affordable rented properties in Northumberland Park if they stick to their own policies. What's that? Get your phone out, go into calculator, 10%. 10% of the new build in Northumberland Park, according to their own policies, will be affordable rented housing. What do we call that? We call that social cleansing. That's the reality. It's social cleansing. Let's look at Broadwater Farm, because there's a new FOI request. We found a 2013 plan by Arab, which is called the Broadwater Farm Strategic Spatial Master Plan, soon to be on the internet, so you'll get access to it. What they say, according to the scenarios in the 2013 plan, scenario 1, 1,000 social rented properties now. When they knock down Broadwater Farm and surrounding areas, they'll rebuild it with 540 social rented properties. 1,000 to 540. The other interventions are worse in some ways because they start knocking down the housing association properties nearby as well, and then they slightly increase the amount of social rented housing to compensate. That's what they want for Broadwater Farm in 2013. I know things have changed since 2013, but the council commissioned this report. Let them say, oh, we're liars, we're making this up, none of this is going to happen. They commissioned this report. They paid a fortune to Arab, a major property consultant. They paid this money to Arab to get a report for the total demolition of my estate, the Broadwater Farm, so they can socially cleanse almost 50% of the council tenants there. That's what this council are doing. And, you know, I hope that, you know, if there's any councillors that want to disagree, they want to say they're not doing it, let them put their money where their mouth is. Just stop accusing us of being liars all the time and actually respond to their own documents and their own reports they've commissioned. I haven't got time to go into all of this. There's quite a lot. People often ask, where's the facts? If you want the facts, if you want to do your own research, come to me afterwards. I've got 10 of these, which are fact sheets, which go into a lot more detail than I can go into now. Get one of these off me. If I run out, give me your email, I'll email it to you. And as I say, we're going to get these documents up on the web so we can prove we're not liars. It's the council that's been misleading people. It's as simple as that.
Thank you. Next up, we have Franklin from the Northumberland Park Residents Association.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Up a bit.
Right.
Shout a bit.
I will shout if you want me to, but you have to pay me afterwards. All right. Now, I just want to talk briefly about what I think about Haringey Council. You see, I live in an estate and I've been living there since 1975. Right. And I know that Haringey Council has. Let me come down there and talk to you. Let me come down there. I'm not too. I'll come down there.
Doing fine, just shout.
Yeah, and I know, right, that Haringey Council, they have an agenda of misleading people, right? They mismanage their estates to the place where people get despondent. I would like to show you an article, right? This is from haringey.org.uk, this newsletter from Haringey Solidarity Group, and this is from 2013, sorry. I'd like to show you that. Let me tell you what you think of that. Here you see. I have this afterwards, you can have a look. This is Spurs Cock Up. I'd like to read it from. Read it. I've got another one here. This is 2017 spring, and it talks about the Haringey Development Vehicle, right? And the point I'm making is, right, that we have to get together and we've got to do something to stop these people, because as you see, Spurs Cock Up, it's multinationals involved.
And it's exactly what it's about in reality.
That's right, and we have to stop it.
It's about power of multinationals creating
We have to stop it.
by the book,
You know,
with government having the right to do so.
Ladies,
She's
I'd
all right.
just like to point out to anyone, there will be questions to be asked of these people at the end when they've all finished talking.
Sorry.
So you can voice your opinions then. Thank you.
The point is that I'm making, we're not alone. This here, right, this is all the solidarity groups in Tottenham, this here. So don't ever think that you're alone. I have these papers here, you come and look and you get your information. This is, look, www.haringey.org. Now these guys have been going since the poll tax 1991. Okay? And we need to get together and we need to plant some seeds and let them know, because we're not alone. This is the point I'm trying to make. We're not alone. People think, what can we do? Look how much people, look, that's all the solidarity groups in Tottenham. We can help us. You see, because I come from Northumberland Park and there's nothing wrong. They have rows of, where I live, right, they have rows of garages, right, and they put old people's furniture in there. Where they could be put in, they have flats. I used to live across the road from a police block. They took the police out, who used to police the state, and put prostitutes in there. Is that not mismanagement? But if we put it, you can take it to the mayor. You can write the mayor and say, what are you doing? You can do, there's a lot of things that we can do. So don't get despondent. I'll never get despondent because I know the estate was a lovely place to live. I was living there since 1975 and it's a beautiful place. You know what I mean? So let's all try and do. You know what I mean? Not say. Now 5 minutes is up.
Right, next up we have Stafford Scott, an activist against police racism since 1985 on Broadwater Farm uprising. Stafford Scott.
I'm told I can only speak for 5 minutes, so I'm going to speak very quickly. No,
Take your time.
I grew up around the corner there, Bruce Grove. Just off of Bruce Grove, Newlyn Road is where I live. Honestly, my first memory was the day that we actually moved to this house in Bruce Grove, Newlyn Road. And in those days, we were really fortunate. Didn't know at the time that I was too young to have anything to do with politics. But we wasn't Harringay. It was part of a place called Middlesex, out of London. It was a lovely little area around here. Bruce Grove Road, Tottenham High Road. We had all of the brand names out there. We had the Woolworths and the Marks and Sparks and the Fine Fears. And it's only when they moved Tottenham over to Harringay, gave us to them, whatever politics went on, and we became part of Harringay Council, that we've seen the steady running down of Tottenham ever since. Ever since. And any of you that know Tottenham will know that this is absolutely true. They killed our high road when they opened Wood Green Shopping City. We campaigned back then, well I didn't, for those with more sense than me, those who love Tottenham as much as I now love Tottenham, they campaigned against that. We saw our shops steadily go and then we saw the industry go. But what seems to be going even more is our ability to stand up to these local authorities and have our voices heard. Can I ask all of you in here, who in here has been consulted by anybody in the employ of Harringay Council about whether or not you want to participate in a £2 billion gamble? Anybody who's been consulted, please do pop your hand. You're
I'm being consulted.
Sorry?
I'm interested in her.
Okay, I don't know who's been consulted.
Don't talk to me.
There you go. Because those who've been consulted, you're actually a rare breed of person, a rare breed of Harringay citizen. I'm kind of got a bit of a public persona because, yeah, I once stood up for, well, I still stand up for people on Broadwater Farm. Part of the reason I suffer people on Broadwater Farm is because I was employed by Harringay Council. Most of these punks who are councillors nowadays won't know this fact. I was once employed by Harringay Council as a senior youth and community worker on Broadwater Farm. During my tenure in that job, we had a bit of an uprising, you may have heard of it, and we had a public inquiry funded for by Harringay Council. The public inquiry outcome said that there was institutional racism that led to those, I call them uprisings, you may call them riots. Institutional racism. We know that. But it wasn't just the institutional racism of the police that the public inquiry talked about. It talks to the institutional racist policies, practices and behaviours of Harringay Council. This is paid for by them, just like that report. So everything is in black and white. And that institutional racism is what brought large numbers of black youth to live on the Broadwater Farm estate in the first place. It was a crap estate that this council again took a gamble in building. A gamble that again didn't pay off. And what they do is they blame the community for the state of the estate, when really it's their fault. They spent £40 million on that estate, but it wasn't their money. They got government money, £40 million, and we told them, don't spend it in the way you're spending it. Don't go and buy a bloody marble from Europe and come and put it on Broadwater Farm. We don't need marble from Europe. We need good quality housing. We need some resources over here. We need some centres where young people can come together and be socialised and learn. But they don't listen. They do what they think is best. 1987, they said that they were institutionally racist. 2016, there's a report from the Runnymede Trust that says they're still institutionally racist because we're living in a borough where ethnic inequalities are ever growing. Now, I know that there are not many people of colour in the audience today. Part of that is because people of colour who live in this borough feel powerless. They feel like they don't have a voice. So they feel like they shouldn't come to things like this because they don't feel that they'll be listened to. But don't think they're not out there preparing. Don't think that they're not out there waiting. We're ready. This is Tottenham. I guess in many ways I'm an outrider. I come to see what's going on and to hear what people are saying. Oh, excellent. And to hear what people are saying. And what I hear is that the local authority speaks with forked tongue. I've seen it. 2011. This local authority did nothing. Absolutely nothing post the shooting of Mark Duggan. Nothing to stop disturbances taking place out there. Nothing whatsoever. And what they want to do today is to punish those who were so frustrated that they stood out there. They want to punish and break down a community that has stood up. No one wants to say that Tottenham is famous for having had 2 riots. I represent those who have taken part in those riots, and no one takes any pride in it. But the fact that we've had those 2 riots is a sign of what's happening in this borough. It's a sign of the inequalities that are being allowed to exist. And now this council, rather than addressing those inequalities, wants to move the problems away. In 2000, I'm sorry, sis, I will wrap up. In 2014, the Minister for Communities said that Haringey was the worst planning authority in the country. And I say today that they still are, because they're not doing any planning, they're not doing any developing, they're handing over their responsibilities to private developers. We're talking about a £2 million gamble, and we're saying that they're taking the gamble. Well, actually, they're not. They're gambling with our future. They're gambling with our community's future. And all of us together, we are a community. We may live slightly separate lives, but we live in the same neighbourhoods, we live in the same environments, we share the same spaces. We are a community, and this is a community that is under attack. In the 21st century, they just can't come and say, we're going to move you. Even though this is what they're trying to do, they have to come and engage, they have to come and consult. I'm not saying that this job isn't difficult. There's a heck of a housing waiting list out there. But ask anybody in this local authority if the plans that they have today are going to bring down that waiting list by 1. Because it's not. So why are you going to gamble with what we have? With private developers who have a record of buying up the companies, who have a track record in blacklisting trade union organisers. They don't want people to organise, they want to smash down the workers. I've heard it said today it's social cleansing. Well, I say it's social and it's ethnic cleansing. And even though there aren't a lot of us black people here today, I'm going to bring race into this. Because I need to say that 30 seconds left. In 30 seconds, I need to say that we have some black councillors out there. You're only there because of our struggles. You're only there because we stood up. Councillors from Bulldore Farm, I can personally say that when I went to Bulldore Farm, there was Tory councillors there. I lobbied our community. I engaged our community. I got Labour councillors voted in on Bulldore Farm. And those very same Labour councillors are now selling the community down the Swanee. I say this in particular to every black councillor out there. You're selling us out. You're selling us out. When they say that we want faces that are different in local authorities, we want faces that are different because we want them to behave differently. We don't want them to behave like those that they've gone there and met before. When I hear that a Labour council is in Italy or France meeting with property developers 13 times and not able, when she came to Bulldore Farm post the riots, I heard that she came incommunicado, hid, couldn't come onto the estate as the leader of Haringey Council, yet you can go and hang out. with these big property developers. It is corrupt practices. It is the unlawful practices. They do lie. After the riots, they promised the review panel that they were going to create 1,000 jobs for young people in Harrogate. The minute the panel turned their back, and this is every religious group, all the churches, the minute they turned their backs, they said, well, they'll find 1,000 apprenticeships. You go and ask them how many apprenticeships they found, because they didn't find 1,000. These are people that we can't trust. These are people that we have to hold to account. So what I ask of you today is when the community does stand up, when the community does show real resistance, that you come and support us. Because we need everybody's support, and we're going to need to show them that this community isn't for turning, isn't for losing. Thank you.
Stafford Scott, ladies and gentlemen, and our next speaker.
His name is? The speaker there. His name is?
I'll tell you that now.
Say it again, please. Stafford Scott. Stafford Scott, thank you.
And our next speaker is Phil Jackson, who is going to let you know a little bit more about the Haringey Development Vehicle Campaign and how to stop it.
Right, so I'm gonna go over like 2 or 3. We have been, I think it's fair to say, we have been a pain in the backside of the council because a number of us started asking questions about what was being planned, who had been talked to, who had been consulted, and what were they consulted about. And the more we dug into this, the more we actually went into freedom of information requests, the more we started getting the background information on this, the more shocking it became. And let me go through some of this. We asked a really basic question. Have you done, as you are required to do by law, an equality impact assessment? This is where you basically assess in a diverse community, is there a differential impact on different communities within Haringey, within Tottenham? What we got back is probably one of the shoddiest documents I've ever read. When you do an equality impact assessment, you are required to say what the mitigating impacts, how are you going to solve the problems that this development might create. When asked about black and ethnic minority communities, what the impact assessment says, these communities will require higher wages, better jobs in order to afford the housing. So we create the problem associated with the housing, knock down the housing, and then blame individuals in a system which is inherently racist for them not being able to get higher paying jobs. That is not an equality impact assessment, that is a whitewash in every sense of the word. I want to tell you a little bit more about the company that Haringey proposed going into partnership with. Lend-Lease is an Australian multinational which settled out of court for fraud and corruption charges in New York, with New York State and a number of local boroughs, and paid out $56 million to basically get the issue taken away. Secondly, Southwark Estate. Southwark Estate is probably the most critical thing for people to know about. This is a Lend-Lease scheme with Southwark, a Labour councillor. The Haygate Estate, when they started, had 1,194 council homes. Not affordable homes, council homes. They came out of that deal with 79 council homes. When they throw around the term affordable, always worry, because it doesn't mean affordable. It means 80% of market rate. That is not council rate. And so when you look at some of the propaganda that's been given out by the council, which has been delivered door to door to door with a multi-million-pound communications and legal budget, which we don't have, you will see in the pretty pictures, actually pictures that do sort of reflect a multicultural community. If you look at the documents that were given out in Cannes, because we got them through freedom of information, there's barely one black face in it. All white. All white. This is a document that was not given out in Tottenham. It was not given out in Haringey. It was given out to investors and property developers in the south of France. We've got an FOI request in at the moment to say, we want to know how much was spent on hotels, how much was spent on consultants. We can tell you from the information we do know, at a time when our own youth services are being cut. When they're being cut, that we have 27 million from various levels of government, but including approximately 8 million going from Haringey to Spurs to support new development. We have 660,000 donated to the Spurs charity. Spurs is at the heart of what is going on in Northumberland Park. There's a reason Northumberland Park School is slated for demolition and merging with another. Why? Because it's on land adjacent to the Spurs ground. It's on land adjacent to the Spurs ground. Spurs have entered into an agreement with the NFL to broadcast games. Part of its new shiny stadium has got 2 pitches. I don't know how this works, but it sounds kind of neat. But it's got 2 pitches. One of them is for NFL games. NFL games make more money from broadcast than they do from ticket sales. Where's the broadcast centre going to go? One would guess it was in very close proximity to where Northumberland Park School is. So this is much more than just a deal with a private developer. I want to talk a little bit about the question of consultation, because I've actually read the reports on the consultations that were undertaken about 3 years ago now. What people were asked was, tell us what would make your community better. Tell us what you would like to see in your community. And naturally, people said, we'd like to see better homes. We'd like to see safer streets. We'd like to see lighting. We'd like to see places for kids to play. We'd like after-school programs. All rational responses. We'd like repairs to the basic infrastructure to be done. We'd like gardens. Nowhere were people asked, do you want your homes demolished? Nowhere were they asked. Second thing, we put an FOI request, Freedom of Information request, that said, please show us your consultation documents on the Haringey development vehicle, on the concept of doing a 50-50. We got a reply, no such document exists. And that's right, no such document exists. There has been no consultation on the HDV. What there has been is a divide and conquer approach, whereby Wood Green, there's discussions that take place in Wood Green. They had community fun days that involved about 265 people, according to their own reports, in Northumberland Park. Broadwater Farm is not even talked about. They prefer, nobody mentioned Broadwater Farm. It's actually down as a potential transfer for phase 2. What we are facing in Haringey is not unique to Haringey. It is going on in Brixton. It is going on in Lambeth. It is going on all across London. More valuable than diamonds, more valuable than gold, is land. Is land. And with that, what's at stake here is the largest single property transfer in UK history. It is not a small scheme. It is to a minimum of a £2 billion transfer of land to a developer with a track record in London of removing council homes. We stand by the people who said on Northumberland Park, we want improvements to the community. We want changes. We're not against investment, but we want people's involvement in that investment. We've said we want to understand the risk, we want full and proper public consultation, and we want guarantees that that housing at council rents will be protected. These are not radical demands. These are saying follow due process, consult, engage, and work with the community. Don't enforce this thing that you've cooked up in can. Later, and we'll open the floor for, I think, a load of questions, because I'm sure there are people who are impacted by this who've got specific questions about their own circumstances. or have got questions about the campaign, which we can go into after a period of Q&As.
Right, I will open the floor up now, so anybody who would like to address any of their questions, raise your hand, and when I see you, and you can ask any of these panels up here, any questions or reservations that you may have. Ladies first, please.
Has Tottenham Football Club been addressed directly about what their involvement is with Haringey Council and what's obviously a brown envelope culture?
Can I just ask you again to repeat that in a little bit more
Has
slowly,
Tottenham
please?
Football Ground and Club, because it's a multinational corporate company, been asked directly their involvement with Haringey Council and their involvement and what is obviously a brown envelope culture? Haringey Council are obviously using the architectural thing as a facelift, a PC thing, to cover up what's been done, and it's very obvious that it's to do with corporate culture. To me, it's very obvious. Why haven't they been addressed? People are spending huge amounts of money to go to football matches. Some people are spending £100 for a match. The kids in my estate certainly can't afford footballs. They can't afford to go to matches. All the shops and things that will be made available, that is supposedly the rebuilding of Tottenham football grounds. Local people can't afford them. It's the homogenisation of multinational culture. It's definitely an ethnic and racial cleansing thing. It's very obvious to me. I'm 52 years of age. My mother was a sociologist. I got convicted for a crime I didn't do, racism, because I stood up to Haringey Council in relation to their treatment of me with a litigation case, government ombudsman, neighbours from hell, and I was basically framed by my council. I had my doors smashed in when I was going to court by neighbours from hell, and how it was dealt with by council was a joke. I'm somebody who believes in a multiracial society being empowered, but multinationals are at the heart of what is going on, and Haringey Council has a history of corruption.
But lady, may I say to you that
Yes.
on your chair
Yes.
is a form which addresses any way and measures that you can.
I have tried
object-
on my own. You can't do
You have
much.
tried on your own, but you have not been part of this vehicle. that
No,
you
I
set
haven't.
up.
That's why I'm here.
So you need to have a look.
I am, but I'm saying that Tottenham football court and grounds and everything else is a multinational, and there's huge amounts of money that is going to be made to Kingdom Come, let alone the what is it called? The actual group that's been handed over. That. So they're going to be on a make forever, and everybody thinks
Our
that.
first priority, may I interrupt, is to give the people of this area and the homes that it affects the means and tools in order to help them stop this, to be consulted properly. 1. 2, this affects everybody. 3, the forms are there for everyone here to be a pain in the butt to the council to make them rethink their strategy. So if you have an axe to grind, then demonstrate outside the council office. This is to give information to the people here. So if there's not a question to any of these panels...
There are questions, but the truth is that Spurs are not a public company, so Spurs don't owe us any answers in that regard. The people that we need to ask about why they're spending public money with and I'm a Spurs fan, and they're a very, very successful business, is the local authority. Unfortunately, they're not forthcoming with many answers, but we did recently find out some of the money that they've been spending with the Spurs, didn't we? I think it's been mentioned here today. And again, I think that people should be questioning the local authority as to why they're pumping those money into a private concern when we don't even have basic youth services going on in this community.
Gentleman on the front row, dark clothing.
Hello, my name's Malcolm. I've come all the way over from Hornsey in the west of the borough to be here this evening. Some of you may have noticed that there's going to be an election in June, And Hornsey and Wood Green are going to be having a Labour Party meeting tomorrow, just for election purposes. And I think that one of the things that people like me and other people on the west of the borough are going to do is put leverage upon Catherine West in a marginal constituency that used to be Liberal Democrat up until 2 years ago anyway, to ditch HDV and go with that, because on the doorsteps, because already at the event on Sunday that we had in Duckett, I was already speaking to them there. They're going to go big on HDV as an election issue. It'll be the second biggest thing that they're going to go on after the Article 50 and Brexit and stuff like that. So if on this side, David Lammy doesn't have to care about anything because, you know, because he's home free anyway. But in a marginal constituency like Hornsey and Wood Green, we can put a lot of leverage on Catherine West to ditch HDV and, you know, do it like that. So this election is actually going to be an opportunity for us.
Would you mind if I took the lady there with the dark glasses and the blonde hair, please? Okay.
I was part of a group called CAG, which was Keston Action Group, and it was another property developer wanting to build flats. The definition of affordable housing was 80% of market value when sold. So they were selling flats for 210,000. They defined the flats as being 38 square metres, because if they're 37 square metres, they're then defined as studio flats. So 80%, so then they're sold as affordable. We're told they're affordable, but their definition of affordable being 80% of market value meant that you had to be on between 40 and 90 grand in order to afford these houses. So that's the definition of affordable. Now what we did was we went to see councillors. We went to see the councillors who were on the planning committee. We went to see our local councillors. Now I can say our local councillors, for me that's Bruce Grove, Joseph, Felicia and Stuart were all very good, and they spoke for us. They were anti it and they're anti the HDV. But other councillors voted for it. So they voted for the HDV, they voted for the Keston thing. We have to get in contact with our councillors, and if our councillors are going to vote against, if our councillors are going to vote for the HDV, we have to vote against them and deselect them until we get a bunch of councillors that are going to vote against. Now in this borough, everybody votes Labour sort of by default. But you go and see a Labour councillor and you realise when you talk to them, they're not really Labour councillors. They've stood as councillors, they've stood for Labour in order to get elected, but they're not Labour councillors. So if you live in a ward, Bruce Grove was fine, but I think Stuart is standing down. But I imagine we'll select somebody as good as him. But if you live in a ward that's not Bruce Grove, you need to get your selection meetings. You need to deselect the councillors that are going to vote for HDV and vote for councillors that are going to vote against it, and just go from there, because they're the ones that have the power to push this through, and they're being stupid and they are voting it through.
I'll come to you.
I just want to say, all those who are interested in the Labour Party, my friend over there, he just got reinstated because he talked up for the Palestinians. Come on, stand up. Let's see ya. Come on. He's going for the council. He's going to get them from the inside. So everyone's the Labour Party.
What's his name?
What's your name, boy?
Keith Dunn.
Keith Dunn. There you go.
Lady with the glasses perched on top of her head with her hand.
Hi, my name's Alison Davey. I live in Northumberland Park and I've been campaigning in that area. We've got at least 1,400 households that are going to be affected by this demolition plan, a community busting plan that the council have come up with. I'm really happy to see loads and loads of people here tonight. It's fantastic. But we do need to get out more. We've been around all those 1,400 homes in Northumberland Park to let people know about this meeting and about all the stuff over the last few months. And we've done a lot of footwork. When I say we, it was mostly other people that I can see in this room. But we still haven't got the numbers of people we need to be knocking on the councillors' doors and really having a protesting outside the council offices at the next opportunity and things like that. We need a mass movement. We've got the beginnings of it. We need to be bigger. So what I'm proposing is that on the 1st of May, and I've mentioned this before, and on the 1st of May, I'd like us to do a little event in the middle of Northumberland Park, in the middle of the estate. It has been something that's kind of established there through a community cook-up thing that we've been doing for a while. So nobody's going to bat an eyelid when we all turn up there and do some cooking and play some music. And we want to speak to all the people in the neighbourhood because it's on May Day. So that's a very significant day. It's when workers and the oppressed come together. And so I think that's a significant day. If I can have like 5 to 10 people from this room to help to do that. We've got people offering to do music, we've got people, we can do food. As long as some activists are there and some other people to do a bit of leafleting around the blocks, I think it will make a big splash. And so I want to move from the talking to as much activity as possible. We've got until July, which I believe is a point where the council will be actually making their final decision about the HDV. So we just need to step up the activity, talk to our neighbours, talk to our workmates, get our kids to talk to their friends. They're going to be affected, their schools are going to be demolished. This is devastating to children to have this kind of thing hanging over their heads. Can we all go back to our communities and agitate and put the word round and make sure, get people involved? Monday, I was thinking between 12 and 4.
12 o'clock.
In the middle of Northumberland Park, behind the Neighbourhood Resource Centre, there's a big patch of grass for children's play area, and having cook-ups there has been established, so I don't think the council will give us any grief.
I will take 1, 2, 3 in that order. Question. Do you have a question? Glasses, hand halfway up. Touching your nose, touching your chin.
Okay. I want to back up the original comment there about Spurs. It's absolutely right.
Please keep it brief.
I was at the planning committee meeting where they gave them permission to put up the Spurs ground. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Spurs produced a document saying they were penniless, completely unable to be able to afford any affordable housing, any social housing to be built in the 35-storey tower that they want to build. And furthermore, it was accepted in the documents this is all about increasing house prices. So there's 2 elements of the social cleansing aspect. One is knocking down council housing and not replacing it. The other is driving up house prices and therefore rents throughout the borough. And the argument that's always put, was never any argument to, is how can you say this won't price people out? People with lower incomes and less savings, they can afford to buy a house or rent a house now, or rent a room now. If you increase the house prices, people with lower income and lower savings won't be able to do that. That's the issue we have to force through, and we have to use, I agree about the election, we have to force this through the election. Every candidate putting themselves forward, we have to say, what would you do in government in order to stop the property developers and councils and consultants and all the people on the gravy train coming through these communities and smashing them up. At the end of the day, it's going to be won by the community, it's been won by ourselves. I think we're doing a great job so far. I think we're going to win, we're going to push this forward, but in the election we have to really rack that up and make this an issue. Nationally, it's not an issue. Locally, in London, it's not seen as an election issue. Why not? We have to make sure it is. Tottenham and Haringey is a central area of pushing this through forwards.
websites, and if you can take one of those home, and the main focus of objective of this is to inform anyone and everyone who you know, if they're a resident, a homeowner, of what is happening, and to spread the word. I will now take this young chap here on the left.
I've been worried about the health of people as a result of 5 years of austerity, and then the local authority coming along and saying it doesn't really matter, we're going to increase your rents. And for goodness knows there's enough rent arrears, enough council tax arrears in the communities already without putting additional financial pressure on everybody. Now, what has happened nationally, and I've only recently come to discover all this, is that let's just look at the 4 national points, because they're worse, they must be worse here in Tottenham with the council estates and the low incomes that there are around everywhere. First of all, homelessness has gone up by 54% since 2010. For the first time in really living memory, the length of people live has started to go down. In other words, on average, people are living a shorter time. Whereas for the past, goodness knows how many years, every time they do that statistics, people are living longer. So that's the kind of impact of the austerity we've had. And then you take a look at the NHS, and they are reporting that they've had a massive increase in the number of people who have been admitted for malnutrition. So your food banks are not doing the job that a proper income would do, which would enable people to buy their own food. So it's gone up from 50%, it's gone up 50% from 4,000 to over 7,000 people received into hospital through malnutrition. And then you take a look at figures like that have been produced by very reputable organisations like the Resolution Foundation, and they are saying that over the next, up till 2020, the incomes of the lowest and poorest people in the United Kingdom will go down 16%. That's on top of the austerity that we have had over the last 5 years. And of course, inevitably, the richest people, their incomes will go up 4%. So the local authority is piling stress and difficulty into human lives, and it's the lack of humanity, the lack of concern, both national and local government, for the kinds of lives we all have to live, that is my major worry about this and a major reason why it should never happen. Yeah.
Right, 2 things. Mary, you're going to be next. Jonathan Price in his summer clothes, you'll have to wait a moment, okay? Do you have a direct question?
Exactly. You know, I live over there, Ali Pally. I think we've got a Labour councillor. I know I've got lots of Lib Dem people around. I think they're against this. Now, when I go to my neighbours, I live in a council block with another couple of blocks as well. When I tell people about this, I've got 2 problems. We've got MI5 up at Haringey Council. I don't know what the Haringey Development Vehicle is. And number 2, they're not here. So they want in Woodcote. Yeah, the question is, what do I tell people is happening in Haringey, and what is being done against it? What do they need to do?
Right, Phil will take this question for you.
Yeah, right. So it's a very good question, because a lot of people have not heard of the Haringey Development Vehicle. I mean, it sounds like jargon. It sounds like jargon. Part of what you need to tell people to do: 1, give them the names of their councillors. Many people don't even know the names of their councillors, so start with that. Ask the councillor what their position is on the HDV. Ask. Oh, they will say, if you keep pushing them, and you don't have to go on your own. You can go with other people. It's easier to go with other people. Contact us, let us know. I'm involved in part of organising the campaign against it.
Phil Jackson.
And my name is Phil. Yeah, my name's Phil. My name's Phil Jackson. These little white pieces of paper that he keeps going on about, they have got the website, they have got the Facebook site, they have got the phone numbers. You can contact through that. The second thing you can do, there's a website called What Do They Know? What Do They Know is how you launch freedom of information requests if they're not telling you the truth. The third is you can get along to the council meetings when they're discussing this. Of course you can. This is how we found out about it. Yeah. So there are a range of things. There are a range of things that you can do, and the best thing though is to actually get on the mailing list. Give us your email or sign up to the website, and then we'll let you know the meetings that are taking place across Haringey, because this is about the 4th or 5th meeting we've done. We've had demonstrations. We're planning a legal action. We've approached the auditor. You know, pretty much we've approached the media, pretty much every avenue we can think of, but we need more people aware of it. Part of the challenge has been, there has been a deliberate process of not consulting in places like Northumberland Park. And so we have gone through probably 20,000 leaflets to just try and get the word out to people in the communities. And we have people in those communities who are going door to door to try and explain things. But we need more people working with us to be able to do that.
Mr. Jonathan Price in his summer clothes.
Was that me?
Yes, that's you.
Right. My name is Clive Carter. I'm a councillor. I'm a Liberal Democrat councillor. I'd like to address a few remarks to the lady over there. The Liberal Democrats are completely opposed to the HDV. We are united on that. There are 18, a significant minority of Labour councillors who... There is a significant minority of Labour councillors who are opposed, and they deserve credit and support. Now, I was one of the 5 signatories to the Liberal Democrat call-in of the HDV decision by Cabinet. That went back to scrutiny. It was then just rejected by Cabinet, but not before another group of Labour councillors, numbering 10 signatories, also called it in. The Labour Party is currently disciplining those Labour councillors of conscience. I'm fighting this HDV every day on the council, and it's hard work, I can tell you, because as we've heard from the previous speakers, the council is obfuscating, they're misleading. I'm asking detailed questions at least once a week, at least once a week. I'm not getting good answers. The answers are misleading. They're circular. They don't include pound signs. And I'm approaching it from just a basic point of view. What does the balance sheet look like on day one? There's an enormous amount of assets going into this vehicle on day one, £48 million, which is the value of the council's commercial property portfolio. It includes shops, offices, and huge swathes of industrial estates, which are probably destined for building on. But this is supposed to be matched by lend-lease, an equivalent sum. Now they use the words cash, equity, and loan note interchangeably. This is currently my greatest frustration. They're not giving me the details. Today I had an email from the Chief Operating Officer inviting me in for a little chat, a friendly chat with the senior officers to explain it to me, because I'm a bit confused. Well, I'm a former a registered representative on the London Stock Exchange, and I have a basic understanding of what a balance sheet looks like. and they are being misleading. They are being obfuscated. We must join the campaign, all of us. Well, I think the one thing that hasn't been mentioned so far this evening, Phil, the JR? Has that been? There is a judicial review begun by a Green Party man called Gordon Peters, and that deserves support. These judicial reviews cost a great deal of money, and if you can look up the judicial review, I think, what's the website? Is it Just Giving? Is it?
Yeah, it's on Just Giving. It's by, oh God, what's his name? Gordon Peters it put under.
Yes.
But it's also on the Facebook site and it's on the web page. And so basically what we're trying to do is raise at least 25,000 to launch a formal court challenge to them. And so far we've raised about 10,000 of what we need. And we've already sent them a series of threatening letters indicating we intend to take legal action against them.
There are several hurdles over which this HDV has to cross. One of them is the judicial review. I'm a veteran of judicial reviews in connection with Alexandra Palace, and this one is about the lack of consultation, and that stands a good chance of success, I think. And the other aspect is the auditor. Haringey Council is currently being audited. The auditor, which is a company called BDO, has flagged up the HDV in their current audit plan as an area of significant risk. And this is the greatest concern of the Scrutiny Committee, which is cross-party, and they came up with a unanimous view that this should be halted, basically. So, that's
right.
Yeah.
So, you're absolutely a great orator, and the next time we have a meeting, we may invite you up here on the panel to inform the people of the information that you are giving out now. But now I will move on to this lady with the blue and white scarf here.
It's okay, I was going to ask a question that was already answered.
Thank you. And that lady there with another...
somebody said it over there, Jenny is, that not everybody knows about the HDV. No, they don't yet, but I tell you for one thing, all the councillors know about it, and Claire Coburn knows about it. And on Sunday, was that 2 days ago, there was a big event to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the Battle of Wood Green when the National Front were pushed out of Haringey. Claire Coburn had been due to speak at that event, despite people saying that, you know, she'd get heckled. She didn't turn up. The reason she didn't turn up is because the campaign has started to reach places that other campaigns have yet to reach. And it is having an effect, and it's on the run. She is on the run, for sure. Now, also, I'm not in the Labour Party, I never have been, but I did hear a rumour, and somebody who's in the Labour Party might substantiate this, that Claire Coburn is seeking selection as a Labour MP in a safe constituency elsewhere. So, what it looks like is she is going to screw up our borough and bugger off to bigger things and bugger off to Parliament. And if she goes, well, frankly, you know, that's the... Somebody who... Good riddance to bad rubbish. But the reason I'm mentioning this is that I do think we can win. I think already, with the small amount of knowledge that we have managed to spread around the borough, we've got the councillors on the run. I think all it's going to take is to get that knowledge out further. And Alison is circulating a clipboard for anybody who can turn up at Northumberland Park 12 o'clock on Monday to help out. If we can get the message out even further and get more people in the community mobilised, then we will win. We will beat this, and we will screw the HDV.
I'm Hilary. I'm involved in the campaign and have been from the beginning, or at least the beginning when I first knew about it, which it transpires was a long time, many years after it actually began. So I've started, my new hobby is reading really boring council documents, which it transpires are actually quite interesting, particularly when you start picking them apart and then sending in questions on this freedom of information. My second new activity, my second new hobby is sending in questions that they find quite difficult. One of the first things we found was that they donated £27 million of public money to Tottenham Hotspur in order that they could make a profit, and from that they got no affordable housing, let alone any council housing. Unlike Clive, I have no mathematical ability at all. In our house, it's seen as a good hobby to think of what is the most stupid question you can ask Hilary that you can't answer with maths, and that is a very low one, but I know enough to know when I am getting swindled. And this deal is an absolute swindle. If someone came to me and said, I'll repair your house if you give it to me for nothing, and then I will borrow money against it, and you will pay half of that back, I would know enough to say, you must be joking, get lost. So I have one question for the people here, because we've gone to a lot of meetings and a lot of people turn up, and we're assuming that you all agree that you're against it. So I'd like to know, are people against it, or do you think it's a cracking great idea and we should be shutting up and stopping moaning about it? So can I maybe see a show of hands of people who think that this is, on balance, not such a good idea that Haringey have come up with to go into this private company and give everything away? So what you need to do then in that case is turn up at the first event on the 1st of May. We haven't set the date, but we think it might be the 20th of May. We're going to be setting up a march. Come along to it. You maybe don't normally go on marches, but turn up. There's lots of other things that you've heard about that we're doing in the campaign, but a big part of that campaign is showing the council that the community don't want it. And you can show that by turning up. You can show it by writing to them, but really turning up in really big numbers will give them a fright, because they rely on your votes. Whether it feels like that or not, they do rely on your votes to carry on being councillors.
People on the way out when they leave to take one of these, put it in your window, give it to a community centre or pass it on to somebody else to put it up so everybody starts to know when they see this poster exactly what it means and how they can get involved and support. And the other fundraising issue that we are doing to get money for the review is the t-shirts, which will be on sale on the main table over there. Lady at the back in the black coat and glasses on her face. Hang on, there's two. The lady with the hat was first, and then the lady with the glasses was second. The gentleman on the blue shirt on the right, you'll be third.
Okay, just a couple of things I think that I need to ask is, I actually received information about this. Someone was leafleting near Bruce Grove. I'm actually on Broadwater Road, N17. So I'd like to see if it's all possible. I know there's been mention of something happening on the 1st of May in Northumberland Park, but I think concentration needs to be looked at in terms of Broadwater Farm Estate itself and the surrounding roads, because if I didn't get that leaflet, apart from the fact that I'm a community activist and author, I wouldn't have known about this. I gave the information to the community radio DJ that I know who advertised the meeting yesterday evening, but I think that if more effort was made, you may well see, apart from Stafford and a few other black people here, more black people that are concerned about what's going on. And just one quick point, I know this may sound controversial for some of us in here, but I do remember the promises of the Liberal Democrats. I do remember what happened once there was that hung parliament. And I am concerned about the national picture. And so I think in that respect, I still think that we have to look at targeting David Lammy and the National Labour Party Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, you know, so that someone writes a letter and brings him right up to speed with what these so-called Labour councillors are trying to do.
Oh, she done it for you?
Yeah, she did.
She's done it for you?
No, I just wanted to ask a question.
Can you stand up, please?
When the councillors have meetings, are we allowed to bombard them?
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. Exactly. That's what we need to do. That's what I wanted to ask. Yeah, so how do we know that in these meetings?
Facebook, get them on Facebook.
Alright, thank you.
Do you mind Phil there to answer that for me?
Right, my name is Phil Rose. I'm the aforementioned councillor of Hillary. I'm also involved in the campaign. In direct answer to your question, we do put up the information. We are constantly lobbying the council when they have meetings And we do put up the lobbies on our Facebook page, which is £2 billion gamble, sorry, £2 billion gamble, we live in Britain. £2 billion gamble, and it's on our Facebook, and it's on our website, which is now stophdv.com. If you go on there, that information is there. Every time there's a lobby, we are doing it. We are also organising a march through Haringey on the 20th of May.
Why aren't we linking up with all the other councils throughout London?
We are trying to do it. Right, and straight answer to that.
That's what we need to do before the
Can I answer your
election.
question? There is an awful lot to do. We don't have time to do everything before the election. What our focus on at this moment in time is defending Haringey. We are talking to Barnet, we are talking to Southwark, we are talking to Lambeth. We are talking to them, right? But getting things organised in the middle of election is not easy. Our priority is to actually focus on our own borough and defend our borough here. And I think that's what people in this room would want us to be doing. Afterwards, we will link up, and it is a London-wide issue, and we will be right there at the core, as we are probably the biggest campaign anyway, doing it. We are actually winning this. And the thing, as Jenny said, that we do need to remember that these councillors, whatever they may say, however much they may avoid their answers, however much they may hide in their little bunkers, they're terrified of us. They notice that they thought they'd got it sneaked through in November, and from November to now, they are, I don't want to use a word, but I use it anyway, shitting themselves. Right? They are. We see them come to the event on Sunday and creep away in disgrace when they see the number of t-shirts. Those t-shirts, they see them there and they know they're being outwitted. But what we need more than anything is to get out on the streets and do the leaflet thing. We need to go door to door. We need to go around Rookwood Farm. We've done Rookwood Farm, but we need to go around. We don't have the legs, and we need people to volunteer to help us do that. And that's why we want the community involved. This is not a campaign led by politicos. It's a campaign that's led by the community. We want the community to be involved more than anything. And that's you. You need to get out there and you need to help us. Come on the website, look at the leaflet. Right? My name is on the leaflet, my phone number is on the leaflet, our email address, contact us. I'll come back to you as quickly as you can. We will get you involved. One final thing. We have a meeting tomorrow night. It's a strategy meeting. Every 2 weeks we have a strategy meeting to oversee what we're doing. And we ask people to come in and talk to us. That's how we involve people. Yes, there are politicos out there, but there are also ordinary people, just like Joy. That's how Joy got involved. Right? They come in and they talk to us and we work out a way forward. So we work out our plans there involving everyone. Come along and get involved with us.
Where is it?
Oh, sorry, yes, 7 o'clock at the Wood Green Labour Club, which is opposite the Civic Centre. Thank you, quite right. Sorry, I do remember things closely. 7 o'clock at the Wood Green Social Club on Stewart Crescent. It's directly opposite the Civic Centre. Across the green there, just round the corner, you'll see it. Number 2 to number 3, so Stewart Crescent. 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
Thank you. Every single resident that lives in this borough who takes part. If you've never been political before, this will galvanise and will gain more strength and momentum. But it means passing the information down the line, and informing everybody and anybody you may know, no matter what their age. And now I'm going to take the man in the blue shirt who's been very patient. And then I will take the lady at the back with the red and the gentleman here.
Keith Hunt from the Labour Party. I wanted to raise an aspect, maybe the panel would want to come back on it, that hasn't been raised so far. I once spent 2 years in Haringey Council's emergency accommodation. That's not pleasant. That stuff is bad. And when they start moving the people out from these estates that they're going to demolish, they are going to take up all the flats that would have gone to people on the waiting list. So the people on the waiting list are going to stay in these emergency accommodations. I mean, mine was emergency, it took 2 years. I don't know what you mean by emergency. Those people are now going to be held down for year upon year upon year. And what did Alan Strickland, who is one of the most vile people you'll ever likely to meet, what did he say when we confronted him about the fact that the Equalities Impact Assessment said that black people will not gain as much from it as white people will over a period of time? His response to us was, oh yes, but black people get more of our emergency accommodation. That was his idea to say, well, we're not racist. It's just in this aspect we don't do very well, but in that aspect, in terms of how many people are in emergency accommodation, which are really bad, black people benefit the most. And why he's not worried about the equality, I'll tell you why he's not worried about the equalities impact assessment, is because the moment he signs the agreement with Lend-Lease, they cease to be council housing. And as they're not council housing, you don't have to do an equalities impact assessment anymore.
Exactly.
So I think the people on the panel should make it clear that this is for all of us. If people in private housing have only just realised they're going to have their houses demolished up in Wood Green, lots of people on in council flats, when you're going to get, they guarantee you a new place. As the law says, you are guaranteed a new place. You get 2 options. 2 options. And if you turn those 2 options down, you're intentionally homeless. They don't put that on a leaflet they're going to shove through your door.
Where are the 2 options?
Thank you. I just want to say a little bit more about the judicial review. I know people are... Sorry?
Is it a question?
No, but it's interesting.
Okay, it's interesting.
Just ask questions. I know Gordon Peters, my colleague in the Green Party, has been working really, really hard on this, and he has every hope that we have a very good chance of telling this council, this is illegal, you can't do it. Why? Very competent solicitor, expert in planning law, expert in local government law, has said, number 1, the council should have put the whole thing to full council. They didn't. They tried to do it through the cabinet. They tried to make it a decision of half a dozen people. Number 2, they didn't do the proper consultation, like we've heard throughout this meeting. Number 3, a major financial decision should have been properly subject to consideration by the scrutiny committee. The scrutiny panel wrote them a very good report, said there are all these reasons why it's far too risky, you should not do it. They didn't listen. They went ahead with the next stage. Now we have very little time. They will sign that contract with Lend-Lease in July, unless we stop it. So please, people, what can you do tonight? Put money in the bucket for this judicial review. I mean, if we had £2 or £3, the price of a beer or a coffee from this meeting, from every person in this meeting, that would be a very good start. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all the speakers for coming tonight and for sharing this meeting with us, but giving us the information, but also the inspiration to fight this HDV. I think you made the point, it's a housing demolition vehicle, it's not a development vehicle. And I think one of the common threads that run through all the comments and all the questions is we're all against it, we're all going to get out on the activities and on the demonstrations and we're going to build for it. And I think that's fantastic, because if you look around, I don't know how many people there are in this room, but each and every one of us represents 10, 100 or perhaps even 1,000 more. Potentially, we are the ambassadors of a movement which will sink the ship, the HDV. We should harry these councillors at every moment. We should make their lives a nightmare. But we should also hold our MPs to account. We should make their lives a nightmare. And we should also set a fire under the arse of some of the politicians that claim to be against this system. You're very welcome. And I'm glad that you're opposed to the HDV. But you're not opposed to privatisation, and you're not opposed, and you're not opposed, and you're not opposed. I've listened to you. Now you can be respectful, and you listen to me.
We shouldn't fight amongst ourselves.
I'm not fighting. What I want to say is that we need genuine political representatives, which yes are against the HDV, but are against privatisation and are against all of the cuts. Not some of the cuts, but absolutely all of the cuts. We should be going to the councillors and we should be presenting them with a pledge, and we should say, we want you to sign that pledge to say that you're opposed to the HDV, but also to say that you're opposed to the cuts. And if you say that you're opposed to the cuts, if you say that you're opposed to the privatisation, then I would welcome you. but I very much doubt that. And I'm sure many other people have got a memory. We remember the last government, we remember the Liberal Democrats and the role that they played. What did they say? They said that they wouldn't enter into a coalition, and they entered into a coalition. They said they didn't like cuts, but they implemented cuts. I'm just saying, I just want to... It's directly relevant it's directly relevant because I want us to wage a political campaign, but I want us to have political representatives as well that we can rely upon. Well,
this is for residents to get their information and to grant the support for our cause to keep them in their homes and their properties in Harringay.
And part of that is to have genuine representatives that can genuinely represent us.
Any more young ladies who would like to ask any more questions to pass on to their friends? Yes.
I think that we really need to organise marches with other councils because we are more powerful if we're united. We're a voice of London, and at the end of the day, all politicians are accountable to the electorate. We pay their wages. We vote for them. They answer to us, and they're getting away with an absolutely disgraceful, demolition of homes. They're treating people like second-class citizens. It's not just social cleansing, it is ethnic cleansing, and it is about a class society that forgets the poorest and the most vulnerable. It is about healthcare. It is about the destruction of the right to free speech, to empowerment to come together in the street, to gather, right to march, and not to be harassed by politicians and councillors and councils.
But as Phil, I'll draw you back to the
Look what happened with the quota.
We have to pull together first in this borough before we can link up
Yes.
with other boroughs to help them.
Absolutely.
We have to help each other in this borough first before we branch out. Once people see that we are successful and that we do have a voice, and yes, I agree with you, we do have to lobby and be a pain to our local councillors, and the ones who are not doing as we want them to do for us as voters, then they will not get re-elected. But we have all got to who cares? We have to do what we have to do for ourselves as residents in Harringay.
David Langley is doing nothing for the black community or the local.
We shall not bring no racial slur into this meeting. I don't want my name on the front of the Daily Express, thank you.
Hi everybody, Paul Byrne again. I just wanted to say something actually really important about how we can take the campaign forward and how the council ought to respond to us as well. Because, who actually is making the decisions about the knocking down of the estates? By the way, I haven't knocked any estates down yet, but if they are to be knocked down, who makes the decision? Now, up to now, it's been the council. They've to do a consultation where they actually say, has been described, how would you like things to be, and suggest that people go along with it and so on. I don't think that's good enough. What's needed is a vote. Not just a vote for MPs and vote for councils and vote on Brexit. If it's so important as knocking down a huge area like Northumberland Park, knocking down a huge area like Broadwater Farm, saying it's all marvellous and that everybody agrees, why not have a yes-no vote? That's really important demand. It's really important demand. It's a really important demand. We need to win that. It has been recommended by the Greater London Council Housing Committee in 2015 that should happen. London Borough of Westminster, it does happen. We need to win that argument.
I just want to come back on the point of what do we do from here, on how we mobilise people. On the Broadwater Farm in 2015 and 2016, we mobilised hundreds of people in Broadwater Farm and the other areas that are due for demolition to object to the local plan, which included us and the surrounding areas as a demolition area, and we actually managed to get the Orchard Wreck taken off. Which was a good feature, it was a great feature. I love that park, it's beautiful, how they could consider building on there. However, the rest of it's still on for demolition. So we can mobilise residents, and we've had hundreds, maybe 300 residents in total at meetings from Broadwater Farm. at meetings about this. It's hard. I mean, in some ways, it's a shame that this meeting wasn't actually in Broadwater Farm in the community hall there, because it could have been. But you know, the campaign it was here instead. This is a lovely venue. I'm very happy to be here. But we could have another meeting in Broadwater Farm actually in the community hall there. The reality is, it's kind of hard with the ordinary tenant to mobilise them year after year to come to meeting rally about the same thing. I have to admit that, because this is something that's been going for years. It's been going on since 2012. I was first talking about knocking down my block Tangmere in 2012. So there we are. That's 5 years now, and so it's hard. I think the best thing we can do, if you're a resident of an estate that's due to be demolished, is talk about demolition, but also try and talk about other things as well. The fact is that the whole reality of this is we're on an estate that's been neglected very much because they want to knock it down. We get some repairs done and so on, but things like you know, painting, the general decor of the place, the problems with youths and the antisocial behaviour which is coming up, and the way it's just not addressed because, hey, it's the Broadwater Farm, that's what these people do there. No, it's not. This is happening for you know, for desperate social reasons, and just writing off like that, and writing off other estates and something like that, because I know they do, believe me, I know they do. But hey, that's just what these people do. Like, we're second-class citizens, we don't deserve a decent environment. We don't deserve the causes of antisocial behaviour and crime to be addressed. You know, that's not good enough. We need to mobilise people around their day-to-day concerns. We need to talk about demolition maybe in 5 years' time on Broadwater Farm. We also need to talk about now. We need to talk, and then we can draw more and more people in on a more active and day-to-day level. I mean, Alison's doing great stuff with these cookouts in Northumberland Park. This kind of things involving people on a day-to-day, week-to-week level that we need to do across the estates in Harrogate that are being affected. As I would say, the final thing is do look at the actual arguments, because the council are going to come with lies and tell you there's going to be 75% affordable housing and things. Do look at the actual arguments and put those out as well. But also we need to organise people on their day. We need to listen to people about their day-to-day concerns and organise people on that, and not just demolition. Because for some of us it's going to be 5 to 10 years. You know, do think about that as well.
Well, all I can say is a big thank you to some of the people that have already left, kids in bed and all the rest of it at school now. Thank you to each and every one of you that have turned up tonight to listen to this information. All we can ask is that you pass this information on to friends, family. The meeting tomorrow is at Wood Green Social Club, opposite the Civic Centre, just round the corner from Stuart Crescent Health Centre. These leaflets for you to lobby, go on the website, get the information, and just be a pain in the arse to the councillors. Hopefully we'll all see you on May Day, and hopefully we will stop this.
We just have one more announcement, and I think this probably gives you a sense of just how urgent this situation is. We've just heard that Lend-Lease are coming to meet with the council regeneration team on Thursday.
This week?
At Tottenham Community Sports Centre, 3 p.m. We'll get a confirmation of that, but check out our website and check out our Facebook site, because if they are, we will be there.
So you have to pass that one down the line, guys.
3 p.m. Tottenham Community Sports Centre on Thursday for a meeting between the Regen team and Lend-Lease.
Basically the people that are going to knock your places.
We are going to confirm this. We will confirm this. Check the website, check the Facebook page. The information is all on the sheets you've got.